Alright, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Psycho's Platters, always powered by coffee each and every time. So, ladies and gentlemen, you know what? You guys appeared to have liked the first episode of my new series, Jukebox from Hell. Well, here's episode 2. I promised this, and we are going to talk about the infamous 1998 album from Van Halen. Yeah. Yes. Van Halen 3 from 1998, the only album with Gary Cherone, who, of course, singer of Extreme, Tribe of Judah, his own solo side projects. Very interesting album, to say the least, but as we always do around here, we try to do a little bit of backstory before we actually get to the album itself. So we got to go back a little bit here to the Van Halen album Balance, which came out in January 1995. That was the last complete Van Hagar studio album, that's right. It's also the last album with Mike Anthony in the role, as fans are accustomed to, being able to do the bass and the background vocals entirely in the record. That album reached number 1 in June of 1996. Sammy Hagar was gone. Why is not really exactly completely clear. Sometime in the next few months of 96 gets weird. Alright, so bear with me. I've got notes, by the way. Research today is combined. You've got Van Halen's official website, Wikipedia, and AllMusic, okay, for your sources. So, like I said, next few months of 96 after Sammy's departure gets weird. Singer Mitch Malloy, who he would end up cutting a solo album for RCA. He was a songwriter and actually a really good melodic singer. But Mitch Malloy ends up on Eddie's radar, so to speak. They end up having an audition, and Mitch is actually given the part of being the lead singer in Van Halen. Eddie goes off and gives him a finished tape to work with, instrumentally per se. Go check out on YouTube Mitch Malloy's It's About Time. So you basically have Van Halen backing Mitch, alright? That would be your taste of what the Mitch Malloy Van Halen would have sounded like. But then we get a little swerve in September 4th of 1996 at the MTV VMA Music Awards, where lo and behold, the David Lee Roth era Van Halen, for at least a night back then, showed up. And boy, what an uncomfortable scene that was. If maybe you guys remember, I saw that live, maybe you guys did too. If David didn't run off the mouth so much, maybe he would have stuck around longer. But at least he stuck around long enough to record 2 new songs for the Best Of compilation that was coming out in October 1996, which would be Me Wise Magic and Can't Get This Stuff No More. Really 2 really cool songs. I'm a big fan of Me Wise Magic. I think that I just wish that they would have done a Roth era album in that kind of style. It would have updated it some a little bit and been great. So then, like I said, October 1996, to great acclaim, that album comes out. Mitch Malloy saw the VMAs live and had a what the hell moment, and that was it on that. So then, when the Roth thing didn't work out, there was rumors flying about all over the place. Actually, different names were mentioned. Billy Squier was one. Sass Jordan was another. Patti Smythe from Scandal. Some of these people were friends of Eddie's. Then there was even a talk of a Van Halen, what we call guest artist album, where there'd be 10 or 12 tracks on the album, and each track would have been sung by a different singer. I think that would have been a kind of novel idea back then for a starting ground. You want to call it an audition? Maybe. But I think the fans would have maybe liked it. You would have already known the Van Halen sound. It's just you'd get 10 to 12 different people singing on it, and you be the judge. Be the musical detective, if you will. So Gary Cherone comes in to the band courtesy of Van Halen and Extreme manager Ray Daniels. He gets the audition, Eddie likes him. November 1996, he's announced as the new singer. March to December 1997, records the new album. So, we start off, you know, I gotta mention this much here, okay, that the album does go to number 4 on the US Billboard 200. On the mainstream rock Billboard charts, the singles are Without You, which went to number 1, and Fire in the Hole, number 6. And there was another single that was put out that barely got above the top 30. So let's go here track by track on this, shall we? You got New World, which is a nice instrumental, a guitar and piano based. Nice way to start things off. Then you go into one of my favorite songs off of this album, Without You. I've always liked Without You. The video for this was so weird, though, when it came out back then. Maybe you guys remember it too. But seriously, really like the song Without You. One I Want and From Afar, which are the next 2 tracks on here, in my opinion, they plod along and they just go on way too long. Maybe if they were edited down a little, they would be a bit more palpable, I would say. Now, I should also go off and mention a couple other things for you here. I am a really big Van Halen fan. Of course, David Lee Roth era, in my opinion, was the best, but I really like the Sammy Hagar-led era too. Saying that, I also am an Extreme fan, and I do like Gary Cherone singing. So, you know, I just want to let you know that this isn't a total lambasting. So then after that, you got Dirty Water Dog. Now, it kind of starts out Sammy Hagar style. In fact, a couple of these songs on this album are similar in that vocal range. And actually, I can also see Sammy doing this song as well. Once, that's the song called Once, plods along again. Fire in the Hole, probably my favorite song off of the album, at least for me. Could also see Hagar doing this as well. This was in the soundtrack to Lethal Weapon 4. Josephine starts out a little Zepp 3-ish, if you get my drift on that in regards to the sound. But it ends up sounding a little off in the vocals. The playing was decent, nevertheless. A Year to the Day is the next one. Almost a 9-minute song on here. Starts out slow, but by mid-song kicks up some. The playing was great, but just edit the song a little, for God's sakes. That's all I'm saying on that. Next we go into Primary, which is a nice instrumental. I've always liked Van Halen doing those little short instrumental flourishes. It's just kind of nice and welcoming, in my opinion, between the songs. Then you get one here that kind of sort of surprised me a little bit. Ballad or the Bullet. Normally Van Halen doesn't really go too socio-political, but I kind of like this song. I contribute this to Gary's lyrics and Ed's playing too, as to why I love it so much. And then lastly, oh boy, How Many Say I? Eddie's vocal debut. Let's not go there. That's what I wrote. But in defense, according to Eddie, he says he was forced to sing this. Forced, I tell you. Gary sings background on this. Really? Did Mike Post, the producer, put a gun to your head, Eddie? So here's the thing. Eddie said that Mike Post was a friend of his. You know what? Oh boy. So, ill-placed production in parts of this album and plotting songs are what really kind of did this in. You've got all these tracks, and I would say truthfully about 4 to 5 of them are really good. They really, really are. Would have made a strong EP. But, like I wrote in here in my personal parts, I was rooting for this album when it came out, seriously. It's not totally bad, but it's not great. Gary says that they should have toured. before they recorded the album. And you know what? I think I agree with that. I think that the fans would have maybe welcomed that a little bit more, because the tour that happened after this album, you could tell how versatile Gary was. He could sing the Roth era stuff. He could sing the Hagar era stuff. He could sing this, okay? He's a good singer. I think he would have been a better fit for Van Halen, truthfully, if they would have toured before they would have cut this record, if they would have had any other producer but Mike Post. You're talking about the guy who did theme music for Hill Street Blues, Greatest American Hero. I'm like, what? It just didn't make any sense at all whatsoever. Now, you know, I think that would have solidified the chemistry more if those factors would have happened. Now, this is something I tripped on in my research. Supposedly there's actually half an album past this in the vaults that's called Love Again, and it was recorded in 1999. But Warner Brothers, oh boy, Warner Brothers really just did not see a hit. They didn't care for this. And combined with other factors, that's the reason why that project was killed. Gary Cherone and the band ended up breaking up amicably, no problems, which I think is kind of nice compared to the previous drama of the other two singers. You know, and then what happens after that album, actually, in 2000, they bring Roth back in. Now, supposedly, 3 songs were recorded during those sessions. Due to the departure of this on this earthly realm of Eddie Van Halen, are we going to maybe see some of these unreleased songs from the Cherone, Roth, Hagar eras come out of the vaults so that the fans can either enjoy them or be musical detective? Who knows? But once again, like I said, Van Halen 3, not a great album, not a total crap album, mind you. The band works great musically. You know, they're always on tune with their instruments and such. But so rooting for them. So I want to bring this up to you guys, that I appreciate you guys watching this series. We're going to go through different albums, different styles, different genres. If you have any suggestions, by the way, for future albums for me to review for Jukebox from Hell, put them down in the comments below, because here comes the hint, oh boy, of the episode 3 of Jukebox from Hell. So I kind of told my friends I was going to be doing an album from this gentleman, but I went and did more research. And I'm still doing an album from this gentleman. We're going to not necessarily turn on a Beatle, oh boy, but it's going to happen. I love the Beatles, I do. I love all 4 of them, always will. But we're going to go next for episode 3 to June of 1983, to an album that wasn't released in this country. In fact, it barely was released at all, other than in Germany and Canada. We are talking about the 1983 Ringo Starr album, Old Wave. That's right. On paper, it looked like this could have been promising. Oh boy. Whew. Next on Jukebox from Hell, I want everybody to have a great week. Take care. Remember, always powered by coffee, each and every time. God bless and rock on.